with Escape to Gaming. Today I wanted to kind of do a vlog about what defines a hardcore gamer. My friend Cameron of IndustrialGamer, just last night, I saw he posted a new video, and I just watched it this morning and commented on it. And it's like, if you know, are you still a hardcore gamer if you can only buy 10 new games a year? You know, does it mean you're any less of a hardcore gamer if you can't buy a full 10 or 15 games a year like many of his friends can? And my friend Cameron himself, he buys more than I'll buy about close to 10 games or new games a year. He'll buy closer to 15, and he actually plays them. You know, he has a part-time job and he's going to school, but he makes the time to play them. He has the energy, he puts in all-nighters and blows through it. I mean, it took me 34 hours to get halfway through the first map on Far Cry 4, and I'm not even done with it yet. He played the game and beat it like in a few days or a week, and finished the whole game in probably about the same amount of time that I have in just half the map. And he did a lot of the side activities and what have you. Now, I haven't finished the game. Does that mean I'm any less a hardcore gamer because I didn't see this all the way through the end? Actually, I stopped playing this because I've had so many older games on my original Xbox that I've been buying the last several months. And there were a few of them in particular I was dying to play, and I played them all the way through, including Myst Exile 3 and Myst 4, I think it's called Revelation. I played those all the way through and really enjoyed them. It was one of the nicest holiday experiences I've had playing games. And then since then I've been going on and I'm almost done. In fact, last night I could only play 1.5 levels of this. Does that make me any less a hardcore gamer because I couldn't, you know, play at least 5 or 6 levels? Now, the other day, a week ago, I was able to play 6 levels in one day, which is rare. It's tough if you're limited with time. Part of it comes with years, part of it comes with a shifting of priorities. You know, my wife, we have our evenings planned. She has to get up very early in the morning, like 3:20 in the morning, very early. So we basically go to bed no later than 8:30 every night. Usually by 8 o'clock, I'm shutting my PC down and kind of, you know, shutting off the TV, and we're watching our favorite. We usually can squeeze in, if we're lucky, maybe one TV show a night. And we talk about the day, you know, while watching our favorite shows or whatever. And so I basically go to bed the same time she does, with rare exceptions. Unless I'm really amped and over caffeined out. Sometimes I'll just tell her, look, I'm going to stay up a little bit later because I can't sleep. And I don't want to, you know, wake you up. I'm, you know, rotating like Fred Flintstone, like a fish out of water at night. But with rare exceptions, I go to bed early. So my late nights of all-night gaming are pretty much over. My wife has a big, you know, very responsible job. My business takes up, you know, I actually have 2 businesses. One's a painting and decorating business, and I also have a business where I refinish cabinets. And I do cabinets. Right now, I mean, I'm looking at, right here on my dining room table, and my garage is filled with a huge set of kitchen cabinets. I have over 40 doors and drawers for this kitchen, and I have to take them and lovingly sand them all down, clean them all, put 2 coats of bonding primer, 2 coats of enamel on it. And it's time consuming. It takes me a week and a half to 2 weeks just to do a set of cabinets. Now, I'm not working on them all day long every day, but it may take me 5 or 6 hours one day. Another day I have to drive down to the location where the actual frames of the cabinets are and put in a long day there, sanding them, priming them, caulking all the seams around the edges, painting them, masking everything off. It's a tremendous amount of very labor-intensive work. But it pays my bills and it provides me a modest living and a comfortable home to live in, and cars and all that kind of stuff. So I had a trade-off early on. I've always never had a break, even as a kid. I begged my dad, I've mentioned this in so many rants, for that Atari 2600 or an Ultra, you know, they had a Sears model that I even considered because we've spent a lot of time with Sears as a family, and I always kind of try to drag him in. Look, they got a Intellivision one, maybe even this one, just anything. I try to pique his interest, and he liked playing Pong and all that. But at the end of the day, it was an extravagance, a waste of money. So there was not this the luxury of being a kid at home with a console or a brand new Sega Genesis at Christmas or Super NES. I didn't have any of that, and it was many years until I was an adult in my late 20s before I even bought my first console, and I had to work hard to save and buy that console. I was very proud of that when I bought the first one, Commodore 64. So I didn't have that NES and all that, and then later I got the Super NES in '91. But it's taken me years, and then they get the Panasonic 3DO. I was trying to save for that for almost 9 months. It was so much money. So it's been, I consider myself a hardcore gamer based on the fact that I've been doing it so long, and it's been a consistent passion of mine, even as a kid in the arcades. And the more I played in the arcades, and the more I would go to my friend's home to spend the evening on a Friday night and watch Starsky and Hutch and stay up and play their 2600s all night long, I'll never forget those moments, and it just made me want to game even more. So when I first got my first console, man, I gamed a lot, and I made the time. I was able to burn the midnight oil and only get by with 2 or 3 hours sleep, get up early at 6 a.m., get to work by 7:30, and I don't know how I did it, but I did it. Now I'm older, my body requires a little more sleep and rest. I've got a juggling act to do. I have other issues like financial considerations. Now, I had actually planned and did a rant earlier that I have 10 games, and I showed the 10 games. It was near the end of the year, Christmas. I talked about 215 and what I'm looking forward to. And I listed all of the games that I want to get. Some of them I had pre-ordered, some of them I had the intent of pre-ordering, but I held off on the pre-orders because I just didn't know. Typically, December and January are very slow months work-wise, so which is great, and it gave me a chance to play a lot of those old original Xbox games, which I was really excited about playing finally. I finally got to fire up the Xbox and play it for just endless hours on end through component cables on my big 46-inch Samsung. I had a very wonderful time doing it, very memorable and immersive time. To me, that's what being a hardcore gamer is being in that zone of gaming, and it's just the planets are lining up and everything is just gelling, and man, this is a wonderful experience. You just savor your time in that game. So maybe it's because I didn't have that great childhood growing up with all the games, and it was never a consideration about, okay, you can only play so much games because you got to do your homework, because there was no games. There were board games back then, or you play with your electric racing set or Hot Wheel tracks or stuff like that, but I never had to compete with video games to do my homework. Okay, you can only play so many video games, and you got to shut the, the TV off or anything like that. And that never was a consideration. But getting back to my friend Cameron's rant was interesting because, and the people that commented down below it were interesting. I'll have a link to his video, actually below this. But and some people say, oh, a hardcore gamer is defined by the people that they're committed to seeing every game all the way through and platinum trophy every game, and that's a hardcore gamer. And to me, I think we can get hung up on having these titles, but like I've mentioned before, once you label someone, you basically negate who they are. People are complex. Gaming is complex. I just watched this great new show. I didn't even know it was out. I don't know where I was, but there's this thing called Video Games the Movie, and I was going through the instant Netflix via my PlayStation 4, and it said, hey, Video Games Movie. What? And I'm reading this as a documentary, and I said, oh, good, I'll watch that. And it was a weekend, like a Saturday night. My wife had kind of passed out on the couch, so after she went to sleep, I stayed up and watched an hour and a half or whatever it was, and it was fascinating, and it really rekindled why I've loved gaming since the beginning. I had forgotten. It's kind of a rudimentary documentary. They certainly could have delved into a lot more detail of all the consoles and the great games and what made each of those consoles great and the wars between Sega and the Super NES and stuff like that. But overall, it was a very good, well done, polished look at video games by and large as a whole. And I thought it was fascinating, and it made me feel proud to be a, quote, gamer. That's how I title myself. I don't break it down to find, okay, well, I'm 68% a casual gamer, but I'm 2% I'm a hardcore gamer. I mean, to me, it doesn't, those are all labels. It's irrelevant. A lot of my new friends are more into retro games. They don't buy any new games a year, or very few. Does that make them any less a hardcore gamer because they don't buy every new game? I didn't buy Evolve. I'm not interested. It's a co-op multiplayer type game, so I'm not going to buy that. Now, I wanted to get Dying Light. Initially, I had toyed with it, but because it didn't have a lot of guns in it, I opted to hold off. And as it worked out, because I'm focusing on trying to remodel my garage right now, which is thousands of dollars, it's a lot of money. Having an electrician come in, I had a plumber come in already and put all new pipes in and put in a new sink out there. Now I got an insulation and a drywall guy possibly coming this weekend. I'm not sure. I'm trying to align the planets when I'm home. And now because my garage is filled with kitchen cabinets that I'm currently painting, I'm going to have to hold off on that a little longer. So I have other priorities financially that I'm focusing on. So I said, that's it. No more games until March. At least until March. So it's frustrating because I wanted to get this Order 1886, which now it's getting mixed reviews, and that's another rant in and of itself. But so I had to hold off on it, and it's not because the game was too short. That's why I didn't buy it or anything like that. It's crazy, and the game is probably 8 hours long at least. More than long enough for me. I don't care what the reviewers say. It looks like an interesting game, and one I'll probably get around to buying and playing, like along with Shadow of Mordor and Thief from last year and others that I had to skip because I can only afford typically 8 to 10 new games a year at $60 a piece. Plus, it's even more for me because I buy, if there's a strategy guide, I buy the strategy guide with the game. And sometimes I'll even buy the special collector's edition like I did, with Far Cry 4. With the statue and all that, because I like to have some of the collectibles if it's a game that I can see myself enjoying. And so, I kind of like that collectible. I think I'll get the special edition. My Balls of Steel Duke Nukem game. That with the hardbound strategy art guide was $150. Does that make me a hardcore gamer because I invest all that money in a game? I don't think so. So the problem with me is that I can quite often have the money to buy 8 or 9 or 10 brand new games a year, but I can't see them all through. I can only play probably half of those games. Alien Isolation I bought brand new and got it opening day because I wanted the Nostromo edition with the extra DLC and all that, but I haven't even played the game yet, which is interesting. So, and that's typical. That happens with me with games. There's usually a few that'll fall through the cracks where I don't even play them at all. Typically, I'll try to get through and at least get 4 or 5 levels into it just to see what it's about. And I'll say, oh, I like this. I'll be returning to this, and I'll put it back. When I got Wolfenstein, earlier in the year, I got this opening day. I loved this game, but then I got sick, and I had to take a couple weeks off from playing. I was just deadly sick. And then on top of that, I was busy with work, and so it took me a good month or month and a half to get through this game and play it. Does that make me any less a hardcore gamer because I didn't power down in 2 evenings and beat this? I don't think so. I think that it's irrelevant whether you're a casual or hardcore gamer. Some people say, well, a casual gamer is someone that only plays the Madden games or Call of Duty games and all that. Speaking of Call of Duty, I bought, Call of Duty Black Ops. I waited 3 hours and 45 minutes in line at the midnight release for this because I saw the TV commercial. I said, finally, a Vietnam Call of Duty game. I was very excited. I had no idea. It was the first time I waited at a midnight release or midnight launch for a game, and boy was I in for a surprise, but I enjoyed this game, and I played it all the way through in a couple evenings, and then replayed it on the hard level and beat it again, and got a pretty decent achievement score on it. And I love this game, and I will return to this game again because it's one of my favorite Call of Duty games. So, and some people think, well, that defines a hardcore gamer because he's at every midnight release and buys every new game that comes out. You go to GameStop and they're pushing you to pre-order Destiny, and I'm like, it's just not my thing. And the girl's not even listening to me. Yeah, but it's going to be the best new game. I said, I understand that. I'm just not interested. I'm just not into multiplayer. Oh, you're not? Oh, I thought you were a hardcore gamer. Well, I guess I'm not if I'm not into multiplayer or co-op. I mean, it is what it is. Is someone any less a hardcore gamer because they don't like new games? I've got many friends of mine that just can't get into the new consoles and don't like the direction gaming is going. And believe me, I validate many of their valid complaints about the new consoles and the streaming and the cloud-based, server-based games and all that, which I've talked about at length. But to me, I still enjoy it. I still enjoy the new games. I still get excited watching E3s and the Sony press conferences and the Microsoft press conference of what they've got coming that's new. And I'm always hopeful and excited of that new game. I love seeing what's coming around the corner. I mean, when they came out, when I took a chance and bought Grand Theft Auto 3, and then when I found out, I started watching commercials and trailers for Vice City. I said, man, I want to get this. This is one of the first games that I ever pre-ordered in my life. I had never pre-ordered a game. Now, there was one bet, we lived in the high desert at the time, and it was 58 miles. I timed it, 58 miles, or I measured this, the overall distance with my odometer to the nearest game store, which was down in Ontario, California, down the hill. I was at 5,500 feet. I had to work my way down the mountain through these dangerous mountain passes down to Ontario, California, where there was a giant mall called the Ontario Mills, and there was a game store. I think it was Electronic Boutiques or something. That was the only place that I could pre-order games. There was nothing in the high desert at that time where I could pre-order. So, and I also pre-ordered the strategy guide as well. So I didn't want to, because at Best Buy, this store up there in the desert was limited. They might only have 10 of these, and quite often they'd be sold out. So I quickly learned if I wanted something, I had to drive 58 miles down. You couldn't do it over the phone to pre-order the game, then drive home, and then go back when the game came out, 58 miles down there, and a tremendous amount of gasoline, wear and tear in your transmission, everything, to get the game. So, I mean, to me, that makes a hardcore gamer someone that is thirsty for the game, is hungry for the game, and will do whatever it takes to prioritize to get that game. I did the same thing with Roadkill. I wanted to pre-order this because I got a demo disc in one of my PlayStation magazines or something, and I loved the demo. I pre-ordered the game. I didn't even know it came with this really cool metal embossed license plate for Roadkill, for pre-ordering it. So this and many other games on the PS2 and the original Xbox, I had to go to great lengths to buy those games. And I'd do it again. I mean, it was fun. That was an adventure. I mean, I'll never forget that drive in my Camaro down to get that Vice City game, and how the sun looked coming through the windows, and how happy I felt when I got that game. And that whole drive back, I'm driving and I'm reading the back of the strategy guide, getting excited for the game. I couldn't wait. And I went through that night and probably put in 7 or 8 hours that evening on that game. I had so much fun playing that game, and I had my own business back then as well. So back then I would tend to put off jobs. I mean, there were quite often days, even on especially a Saturday, where I was slated to work, and I'd call a customer Friday night, you know what, I can't make it Saturday to work. Something came up, and it was just because I wanted to play the game. I can't do that anymore. I don't have that luxury. I have some friends of mine that are still living at home, and that's great. If you have that luxury and you can play games all day long, every day, I mean, that's fine. I don't know how you're able to do it and provide, contribute something to your family that's paying for everything. But if you can do that, and I take my hat off to you, that's great. I don't have that luxury. Quite often, even in my social forums on Twitter and Facebook, I'll have people, will tag me or ask me something in a thread. Sometimes I can get right back to them if I happen to be sitting here. But quite often, I'm on sales calls. I have to go out and talk to 10 people to get 3 jobs. So, and lately I've been driving over 30 miles away to another city called Elk Grove, to where there's a lot of work down there. But the problem is it's a long drive. So I have to drive all the way down there, see a customer, sometimes at 9 or 10 in the morning, and then I got to drive all the way home. The day's already gone. I've wiped out half a day just in the hopes that I'll get a job. And then I quite often will lose a job because it's very competitive, and the prices are down like 30% from what they were in the 2000s. But it is what it is. At the end of the day, my bills are paid, and I'm happy to have to work, but I have to work so hard. I have to invest so many hours in both of my cabinet business and my painting business to really see it make that consistent income that pays my mortgage payments and my car payment and my bills and insurances and my bond for my business. And I mean, I got so much overhead. We just did our taxes, and we got a little bit of money back, which is nice, and we're going to use that towards a garage with some other money that I'm working presently and trying to get that project done. So it's tough because I want to just go nuts and buy every new game that's out. Now, I do have Battlefield Hardline pre-ordered, and I need to get down soon because I know that the new Nazi Zombie Army trilogy game is coming out, I think, early March, and I want to get that one as well. So I'm definitely going to be getting those 2 games. At some point, I may get Dying Light and probably the Order 1886, but it's going to have to wait. I mean, even if I had bought them, I just don't have the time to play them right now, which is frustrating. So I'm in the process of, reviewing this. I'm so close. So like I said, I played it only a level and a half last night of this Tides of War Return to Castle, and it's frustrating. I was just getting into the Chateau level, which is one of my favorite levels in the game. And I had my wife remind me, okay, we gotta start a show now so I can go to bed at a certain time. And I go, well, all right, let me save my progress. Luckily, with this game, you can stop and you can immediately save your progress, shut the game off, and get back to it. But that's why this review hasn't come out yet. I still have a couple more levels left. I'm going to try to get some time in today. I've got to flip all these cabinets over that I'm working on presently. And then they're already sanded, and then put primer on the other side of them, and then I have to let that set so many hours, and then enamel coat them. It's just so much work and so tedious. So I have little windows where I can sit and check my Facebook and Twitter and watch my friends' YouTube videos when I've got 15 minutes here or 30 minutes here or whatever. And it is what it is. But it's just hard for me to invest the time. Time management as I get older is really what it's all about. So I don't see this necessity to be, the hardcore gamer. You've got to finish every game. You've got to really chip away at that backlog, or you're just not a gamer. I don't see it that way. I'm into the handhelds. I'm not into the iOS games. I don't play, the cutesy Mario games and a lot of that stuff. No offense to my friends that love those games. And I'll probably be getting some of those from my Super NES at some point, because I miss some of those fun arcade games. But for me, I like to get lost in deep, role-playing games and good action games and open-world games or linear games, like my Return to Castle, Wolfenstein, The New Order, or Far Cry 4, or anything that's fun and immersive. To me, that's what it's all about. So those parentheses in time, those little brackets of 90 minutes here or 3 hours and 15 minutes there, man, I savor those like it's a bowl of ice cream. I mean, it means that much to me. So to me, it's where your mindset's at. It's, to me, if you're a hardcore gamer, if it's something that consumes you and you're thinking about it all the time, it's the only reason why I do this YouTube show. I'm not just to pontificate about cars or art or other things, but I'm doing it because I love gaming and I want to add my 2 cents. I get excited when I can recommend a game and see a friend of mine that believes enough in what I'm saying and likes my point of view to where they go out and purchase the game. I think that's cool. I like sharing. I like the sharing, and I like to watch my friends' videos of their favorite hidden gems and games that they like that I'd never even heard of. And it just, to me, it's exciting. So yeah, I like the E3. I like the new stuff. I love the retro stuff. I love seeing my friends pick up and collection videos. I love vlogs and rants in particular, and I love doing them, as you could tell, these long-winded rants. But what are your feelings on it? How do you feel about this hardcore gamer? Do you feel that you're a hardcore gamer? Do you think it matters whether you buy, 10 new games or 15 games or 4 games a year? I'm just curious in the comments. I always like to hear other people's perspective, and quite often they'll remind me of something or a fact or a concept that that slipped my mind or I haven't even thought of, which I like. So let me know what you think about that. I think at the end of the day, what matters is that you're enjoying the hobby of gaming with whatever time you have. Like I said, there are times where I can game every day for 6 to 8 hours a day. To me, that's a lot of gaming. Part of it is I get uncomfortable sitting in one position for too long. So I have physical limitations. Like I said, I have time considerations. When my wife comes home, I help her with projects around the house. We talk about things we're working towards. We spend time watching television shows and movies, in the evenings. So it radically cuts into my time. There was a time where she could get into this split screen gaming. Unfortunately, she's kind of gotten away from gaming, which is sad because we spent so much time in the 90s enjoying gaming, and when she would be there, my friends came over and we would do split screen, and she'd be kind of part of the scene. We'd have drinks and she'd make snacks for us and stuff, and it was great. Those days are kind of gone. I just don't have that kind of luxury anymore. To me, it's all about work and money, this never-ending conveyor belt of bills and the lifestyle that I have. I mean, If you want to have anything in life, a car or a home or a wife or a relationship or whatever, you have to invest the time. Kind of like a pie, you have to divide it up into sections. This is so much time, and you spend a third of it just sleeping, wasting it right there. And as you get older, that sleep becomes very important. You spend another third of your life just working, just to provide the money so you can have a Saturday and a Sunday, which quite often I'm mowing the yard and doing leaves and projects around the house, and even then my time for gaming is so limited. So I think that's why I love gaming so much, and I get so excited about the little bit of time I get with these damn games, is because at the end of the day, that's all I have. This is what keeps me going. When I can, at a job that's mindless, painting all day long for hours on end, what do I think about? I think about what I'm going to play when I get home. Sometimes that doesn't even happen. I'll get home and then I get sidetracked in a conversation, or I get a phone call and another customer says, yeah, we decided we'd like to see you one more time. Can you do some samples? I got to quickly get some samples together, drive over and go see them. So it's very hard for me to plan, and it's tough. So it's a miracle that my reviews ever materialize, or I get a chance to play a lot of these games, because I'm so busy with life, and life can get in the way. So let me know what you think about this whole rant. And do you think, does life get in the way for you? Or sometimes, some of my friends, I know they've got all the time in the world for gaming, but they don't have relationships, they don't have cars as hobbies, they may not have their own apartment or their own home. So it's a balance. Yeah, they have more time for gaming, but maybe deep down inside they wish they had more of the other things, the money, or a nice career, or a job, or a relationship, or something like that. It just depends. I've got so many. I have a daughter that, even though she's moved away from home, she's on our minds a lot, and there's a lot of drama and things going on that she needs help and counseling. We got to talk with her, and there's conversations with other family members that are going through difficult times, and that can become also a wedge and a time eater as well. I was just trying to play a game the other night, and there was another call from my mother-in-law to my wife, and I want to hear what's going on, so I had to stop my game, my Return to Castle, and kind of, put one ear to the wall to listen to what's going on, and then afterwards there's another 90-minute conversation about that conversation. So there was another evening of gaming gone. So does that make me any less a hardcore gamer because I can't follow through and play those games all the way to the end? Let me know. These are my frustrations. I'm kind of airing them out because of my time frame. This is a very busy time of year. Everyone right now in America is getting their tax money back, and I've got tons of leads. I've got this enormous job. I've got a deadline to get it done. The minute I'm done with that, I'm doing an enormous interior. Every ceiling, closet, baseboard, door, trim, I'm doing it by myself in a 2,500 square foot thing, and I have a week to do it. It's almost impossible, but I'll make the time. I guarantee you there'll be very little gaming that week. So it's frustrating. With all these new games like Battlefield Hardline coming in, this Nazi Zombie Army trilogy, luckily I'm actually relieved when we get more games at the end of the summer into next year, newer games, because by then it slows down for me by the end of the summer. There's kind of a lull as the kids are going back to school. My business drops off and I'm able to take a vacation. And then, get into a lot more gaming, which is what I live for. So to me, I'm patient. I'll wait months to have that heavy-duty gaming session that I've always dreamed of. It takes that long quite often. So it's tough. I sneak in a little half an hour here, 90 minutes there when I can. And it's always on my mind. Gaming is what I think about all the time. I can't wait to get my new Game Informer magazine in the mail. I'm checking the mail. God, it should be here any day now. I'm checking it. And I still have that excitement over getting the gaming magazine in the mail, or seeing one of my friends' new vlogs about a game that they just played or picked up, the game I've been curious about. I want to see the gameplay. Very exciting. I live for gaming. To me, that's really what constitutes a hardcore gamer, is someone that they have the mindset and they're thinking about it. Maybe at one time they were more of that hardcore gamer because of the time and commitment they put into it, but it hasn't changed. It's still in their soul, it's in their DNA that they are a gamer, and they love it more than any other hobby. It's their favorite way of escapism, and their favorite means of having fun. So, add your 2 cents in the comments. I'd love to hear it. Thanks for sitting through this long rant, and enjoy your games no matter what they are.